Hello and welcome to Plague Pals. Maura, how are you?
I'm okay. It looks like it's going to storm outside any minute now, which should be fun.
And you are there, folks.
Witnessing it. You
Those
might
of
hear some
you
thunder.
who have never experienced a storm, this is your chance to get a vicarious thrill.
All of our desert dwellers are going to be really, really thrilled in this particular episode.
Yes. Anyway, that is Maura Quint talking, and I am Bill Corbett. If you don't know, you probably do if you're anywhere near this podcast by now, that we are who we are. Um, how's your week been, Maura?
It's been all right. I'm trying to even I'm lost in time now completely. I know that's happened a lot for people throughout the pandemic without having sort of normal schedules, but this week in particular, I'm like completely, I don't know if it's Monday or Friday. And I haven't been online as much for like the last week, which I think has also,
How dare you?
look, if I don't look at Twitter and see like a happy Wednesday hashtag trending, how am I supposed to know? That's it. That's the only thing keeping me grounded in time.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what major celebrity trended today?
Oh. Oh, wait. I do know. Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, but I actually had in mind Mary Magdalene, the from the Bible, was trending.
Old school celebrity. Okay,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
they're
I went a
dating.
little that would make sense. Yeah. That would be an interesting pairing. I could see that. I could totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah, what you said about time really feels true. I mean, it actually does feel like it is geometrically progressing the unraveling of time at this point. Because there are
Unraveling
times
that.
when I think of the beginning of this pandemic and I think like, yeah, it was like last week. And then it just feels like, no, in 1986, one or the other.
That's absolutely right. It's a very confusing moment. How's your week been? Have you had a week? Are you aware of it?
Yes, I am. I'm
Okay.
vaguely aware. I am sort of getting into my corporeal self again, little by little. No, I did
Habit
actually
formation.
have an adventure this weekend. I took my, that sounded very British, this weekend.
Weekend. Hmm.
I
Had an
took,
outing, did you?
we went punting on the Thames.
Oh, lovely. I love it that.
No, I took my kids to a resort about an hour and a half from here.
Ooh.
And it was dicey for the obvious reasons because, like, you
People
know,
exist?
the plague,
Yeah.
because other people exist, yes. And I had second and third and fourth thoughts about it, but we had been there last year and it was just like a place where you can swim and, do a couple of other things. Like there's a water park. Um, and they, they had a big, excuse me, they had a big thing on their website about COVID precautions and we're doing
Hmm.
everything. Seemed incredibly reasonable to me. And I knew from the layout of the place that you don't really have to be around people that much. Still in all, I went up and really the reason I did it is because it's sort of a tradition that I go on a vacation with my kids at some point
Right.
and give my wife a break and just let her like hang out and have friends
Good
over.
tradition.
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
and it's fun.
Wives
It's a fun,
everywhere.
fun tradition. We've been doing it since my kids were little, and and they've been so good, and they've been going crazy, just cooped up in the house. So I thought we got to give them a little taste of summer here,
Hmm.
and myself. But we got there, and it is through it's like going northwest from the Twin Cities, and you go through some of the more conservative areas
Oh,
closest
yeah.
to the metro area. And it was bad because there were like
Mhm.
giant Trump signs, along some stretches. I suspect it was mostly one like local business lord there who did that because it seemed like through a whole stretch of the same kind of
Yeah.
billboards and fields.
That's the right title for those people.
Yeah,
Business
they're
lord.
like
Yeah.
regional
They are.
warlords, but they have
I know
car
many of them.
dealerships.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And then the place itself, we got there and they do have like a suggested mask policy and all that other stuff. Really 97% of the people, nothing like a mask at all,
Right.
except the staff. And even that was like the check, the person at the reception desk didn't have it. So we were thinking
Oh,
about
wow.
turning around and going home. And I didn't want to panic too much because we could kind of keep it, but it did like curtail our use of the space a little bit. It's like,
Hmm.
let's go to the pool now that everybody else is gone.
Right.
you
Right.
know.
That's funny. That's a lot like what my weekend was actually.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Yeah. This all sort of, it's going to tie it together nicely. I
Ooh,
have,
we like the thematic, elegance of it
this
all.
is going to work. It's almost like we planned this, but
We did
I
not.
have a large family on my dad's side,
Hmm.
very like coal mining country, Pennsylvania. I mean, my dad did not have any wealth growing up. His dad died when he was young, so all the kids worked from a really young age.
Hmm.
And my dad moved away and went to college, and the other family members did not. So we grew up in very different worlds now. I mean, central Pennsylvania as opposed to like northeast Pennsylvania. It's not exactly like, oh, I grew up in a penthouse in Manhattan. It's not quite that
Yeah.
diverse, but still, there was, I in Harrisburg area, there is more diversity here to some extent, and um, to some people in Pennsylvania, it's the big city. Uh, there's like
There
5
are
blocks
bigger
to the whole
cities, even
town,
in
but
Pennsylvania.
oh gosh, I know, but people will actually come to Harrisburg, like especially pre-pandemic and stuff, like 21, 22-year-olds would like, they'll have like a weekend in the city and they mean they're going to Harrisburg for like
Yeah.
the full 3 blocks of downtown that has bars.
Let's go to
Like
the H-Burg, man.
it's a thing. I was shocked when I heard that because I lived in LA for a long time. So moving
Yeah.
back here was like, oh, how cute. But people around here saw it very differently. So my family on my dad's side there, they are, we are not very aligned in many things, certainly
Hmm.
not politically. And even with my immediate family, not, it's all Republicans as far as the eye can see. Um, my, I mean, I had to like, my one cousin in particular, I don't speak to her anymore because she went like full in like hardcore Trump, just like Trump worship kind of level. And I
Yep.
was like, all right, I can't be around that ever again. Like I had 2 or 3 conversations where I tried to like have not Trump based, but just conversations about the economy and just like really specific. And she could sort of like grasp some stuff, but she would always turn at the last minute and like blame the wrong people. It was so
Hmm.
anyway, so she's out of my life. But there's this other section.
You're out of here.
You're out, done.
Just picture you like in a bar, like taking her out by the scruff of the neck and the belt, just
1, 2, and see you
Evo
never.
out of my
Yeah,
life.
that's exactly right. But the rest of them, I don't know. Like they're not very political in
Yeah.
general. They don't really care.
It is a
I'm,
blessed state.
yeah,
This time.
they're in that place. And I've like distanced because I know they live in the world of Republicans, but also tried not to be so, tried not to assume their beliefs
Yeah.
for them, kind of thing. And so my one cousin has she's a teacher. She lives alone, but she has a cabin on this really small little lake, and has a boat, and invited family to come up and enjoy it.
Hmm.
And if it were just me, there's no way. But it's the same thing. Like my kids are they're doing great, but they haven't gotten to have any much of a summer,
They need
and
summer stuff. Yeah.
they need summer stuff, and I can't afford that much summer stuff too. So having this access where I just drive there and I'm not paying to be there kind of thing was very helpful. So after a lot of back and forth, we decided to go,
Hmm.
with the caveat too that like we're still distancing. So stay away. Like we're coming up. I'll use your boats and things, but I'm not going to hug you.
Don't want to physically see you.
Like I'm not
If
going in your house or anything, but it's a big area out there. We can be a little bit distanced,
Mhm.
and so we did. But driving up there was terrible. The Trump signs, like,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, like, there's a feeling too of like I'm in an unsafe place. Like I can't imagine, and that's me as a like privileged white lady. Like I can't imagine how it would feel for a person of color to enter
Hmm.
these worlds with all these Trump, because it already felt unsafe to me. I would imagine I would just hit uh, the pedal as fast as I could and get the hell
Hmm.
out of there. And I got lost up there with no reception. So then I was like relying on pulling over and just like asking people on the road if they could get
Yeah.
me to the right way as well. It was very nerve wracking. And on top of it all, I felt guilty being there at all because I'm not sure about the political affiliations of those people, but I'm suspicious and I wasn't broaching them head on.
Why
And
would
it's
that why would that cause you to feel guilt?
because
You didn't
I
grow up Catholic, did you?
my dad's Catholic, but
Okay. Well, could
I
be a
grew
little bit there.
my
Hey,
mom's
Mark, can
Jewish.
I ask you one just little tech thing? I hate to ask you this, but
Oh,
it's kind
sorry,
of
it's
rustling
bumping.
everything.
It's
Yeah.
bumping. I'll hold it out. I
Yeah.
used to have such a nice clip, and I broke it right the heck off.
It's okay. We're going to send you a real mic.
I have a real mic. What I need is like a stand for it to sit on. Right now, I tried to set it up, and it just
We'll
toppled
get you
over.
like a TV dinner table tray.
That's what I need. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. A nice like Swanson
That's
meal
what
on
I
a mic
used to
stand.
use for my old podcast. Everybody had like a little dinner table tray in front
That
of
makes
them. It was just so
sense.
sad, but it worked.
There's going to be like a yard swap coming up. I will look for one because someone is definitely getting rid of that. Someone has definitely gone through their closets and said, "What the hell do I need this
Oh
for
yeah,
anymore?"
everybody, well, everybody was Marie Kondoing last year, and now it's down to blood and bone in everybody's house. It's just like, should I sell this wall? I mean, it's just like I've
It's
got
central
nothing else to do.
Pennsylvania. Everything hits here like 2 to 3 years later. So people are just getting on
Oh,
the Marie
okay.
Kondo thing now. It's going to be good. Um, yeah, so I'm guilty, right? My dad is Catholic. My mom is Jewish. My mom always said the reason that they were together was that the one thing they had in common was guilt.
Yes,
So
that is the nexus. That is my college girlfriend and I connected on that right away. Just she was
yeah.
Jewish, I was Catholic, lapsed Catholic, but it was like, yeah, those cultural things are really the glue that holds us together.
Yeah. So I have that runs deep, deep within me. It is part of my soul feels guilty for whatever my soul has done. Um, for the fact that I don't
I'm
know, an
guessing your
animal doesn't
soul
have
is
one.
relatively clean. I
No,
don't know.
no, something's happened.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what
You
souls
would
get up
know.
to.
You would know.
You think there's a lot of that crossroads stuff. I don't know what's happening. I could have wandered in one anyway. Uh, so no, I feel guilty because I feel very much that it's like as a white person, the job of white people to confront our family and so I feel that in this case my sort of avoidance is a all it takes for evil is for good men to do nothing situation. Like I feel
Mm.
I'm failing, and I by not calling them out and rather just taking advantage of it so that my kids could have a nice day.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is relevant to my interest as well. I mean, it's not just it's not a subjective question because I run into variations on this all the time. Like, what was there an occasion when you felt like you should have, or was it besides your ultra Trump cultist
Yeah, she was the
cousin?
only one who was like sort of putting it out there, and so I felt that I matched that and met it, and no one else. No, there's never been a situation where I've called out individual sort of things or
Yeah.
something that I felt was off. I've done that, but I've never like broached this on my own out of nowhere. And there's never been a situation where I felt like, oh, I'm ignoring a statement or something. They don't even like. I don't think they go near that in their everyday
Hmm.
conversation. It's not part of their normal thoughts. So yeah, no. So I haven't ignored anything that has been like evident to attack, but it's
Well,
still.
then I kind of feel like you're doing the right thing because honestly, like, that was my adolescent impulse. With my family, especially my dad, who's
Oh
very,
yeah.
very conservative, is to just like keep coming at him and making sure that he knows where I stand on stuff and all that. But for the last, I don't know, for quite a while in my life, my loose policy is like, unless somebody else brings something up, I am not gonna try to engage on that level. I don't see how what good it does. Like, I don't think I'm going to change anybody's mind unless the opportunity feels right. Sometimes it does, but it's pretty rare. And yeah, like if somebody says something super racist, you just
Oh yeah, sure.
you speak to it. But
I go back and forth on that, and that makes sense to me. And I have also had a place where I feel like there is a time and place for canceling people, even in your immediate lives, and like, or cutting people out or distancing.
mhm,
Um, but I do also sort of believe that if there isn't that sort of like, if there aren't egregious things that are being said or done, sometimes I feel like there can be a benefit of just like also being the person in their world that they know stands for something else, that
I
like forces
absolutely
them
feel that
to
way.
be sort of confronting. Like they're like, even just in the mask thing, like I was, my mom a little bit too, but like really just my mom and I would say we're like, we're distancing. No one up there was thinking about wearing masks or distancing. It's not even like, I don't know why, but it's not even part of their world. And they had to like recognize that like this is something that Mara's
Hmm.
doing, and no one treated me shitty for it. Like
Yeah.
there were no jokes being made or anything like that. Everyone was respectful of it, which I appreciated. But I felt like even that was sort of beneficial, because I worry that these can veer into the people who are like, fuck the people. Like I worry that they can go down that lane, but having like, well, my cousin's like
Hmm.
that too. And, I don't know, maybe she's a liberal, but she's not crazy, crazy. I don't know, but like
Hmm.
something that kind of grounds them in this other space occasionally. I don't know. Maybe I'm justifying
No,
something.
I think you're absolutely right. And I don't know what metric you use to measure, oh, maybe that was a net good or bad, and what the actual terms of that metric would be. Like,
Right.
are they more inclined to vote for Joe Biden or I mean, to me, that's like,
Probably not.
that's not something to be all Don Quixote about. Like, not because it's not a preferred outcome, but it's more like, um, what what how much can you influence any one person outside of
Sure.
your example? I think unless it is an immediate family member, you know, kids, especially spouse, maybe, it's like almost zero. I mean,
Right.
and I think if there's any chance that you're going to do it at all, it's because it's through example, like you
Yeah.
said, and through having some sort of a decent relationship based on whatever else. And I really mean like a decent relationship, not just like obligatory. We
Hmm.
come from the same gene pool, so we have to like hang out together. But I
Right.
mean, like, basically how I have been living with my family my whole life, and they've been
Yeah.
living with me. To be fair, it's just that we have a similar, not only similar, references from our background and people in our background, but sense of humor and a sense of empathy with each other. I don't know. I mean, I feel lucky that way. It does
Yeah, my
not
family
get.
doesn't have that. We do not have the
No.
same sense of humor. And my brother and I do, but like the anything extended beyond that, no, not at all.
Well, we
It's
don't really
fascinating.
have much of an extended family. I mean, I
Oh,
have a
okay.
cousin who is a really cool guy. He's a chef in New York, and he's, like the only other artist type in my family, vaguely put. And actually, I take that back. We had a Zoom call with my cousins that my brother arranged not too long ago, and I saw all these people, older and grayer, and so was I, to them, and it was kind of cool. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's not like we kept in touch a lot over the years. And I knew that if, we got onto any political stuff, it would be rocky, terrain. And I didn't feel compelled or brave enough, depending on your point of view, to go there, because it just felt like, let's just make this pleasant connection, now, and see where it goes in the future, which will probably be a Zoom call in 30 years. We're just
Right.
about to tip over.
Right. That's also, I mean, you'd mentioned kids and stuff too, but that's another area where I also sort of end up justifying it too, because my cousins are older than I am and they have kids who are like teenagers and younger too. So there is a little part of me that's like, just kind of want to be there in case maybe you disagree with your family, like somebody in your world that you can turn to, like it's okay to talk to me about some of this stuff. Sometimes I feel like that's a reason to be present as well. And
Yeah.
we're not like hanging out all the time. I mean, I see these people maybe once a year, but it's I don't know. It's a tricky situation, and that's with family that
Yeah.
they're family, but then there's friends too, which
Which
is
I
to me
understand that some people have. I mean,
I've
I've
heard
heard of
about it.
these. I've
I've
heard
heard
about
about
these
it.
so-called friends.
I mean, a lot of people are going
Excuse me.
around bragging about all sorts of friends, and I think that's bullshit. Let's be fair. Like maybe there's one or two, but this whole like, oh, I have tons of friends and I throw a party and people come, blah blah
I
blah.
have 1.5 friends, I'd say roughly.
Does that mean that person is half your friend or half a person?
Um, the grim possibility of the second one says half a friend. No, I
Definitely.
don't really excuse me, just for the people listening here, Maura and I, as might be evident, really do not prepare for these, but we usually send like one text back and forth before we go to just
Yep.
say like the general area we might want to talk about, and then it sort of like goes where it goes. um, but one thing we did want to maybe follow up on was talking about cancel culture, which I think was the last time we did that was 2 weeks ago. Because
Yeah.
last week we talked about taxes because
Oh, yes, we
we need
did.
to sex it up a bit.
Sexy,
Um,
sexy taxes.
but I think in the meantime, I mean, even when we talked about it, it was like, oh God, if I hear that fucking phrase one more time,
It's
I am
getting to
just
you
gonna,
more than it's getting to me, but
yeah.
you're you're like that close to just snapping. I'm not sure what's
Always.
going to happen when you snap though, but I'm excited to find out.
um, I'll just cry. I mean, I just cry.
Well,
No,
that's
the cancel culture thing. I don't know why I am kind of done with it. I just, maybe here's what it is. I just feel like, and I think you're with me on this, just from our little
yeah,
exchange before the show. It's like it is such an imprecise term at this point. First of all, everybody is using it and just bludgeoning each other with it, and then ironically bludgeoning each other back with it.
right.
It's like, oh, I guess this is cancel culture. It's like, and it just feels like, all right, it's just a little, it's like a little pocket knife we just keep stabbing each other with at this point. And
The shiv of cancel culture.
shiv, it's not even, if it were only like a real proper shiv, but it's more like a, I'm gonna like send you to the ER and you're gonna need 7 stitches. Anyway, it just doesn't mean anything
No.
in a real sense. It has become, because it really has just this absolutely elastic meaning depending on what you want it to be. So it goes from everything of like, oh, I guess we canceled Bill Cosby. It's like, no, he was
Right.
convicted of rape and he's
Right.
in jail. That's not cancellation as I know it.
Mm-mm.
Two, somebody said something shitty on social media and got a similar shitty thing said back at them.
Yeah.
Those are just not even in the same galaxy.
Someone posted a picture of a pig with poop on its balls,
Yeah,
and
right.
that apparently is exactly the same. No
Yes.
differentiation here.
So
Hmm.
do you have any kind of I mean, I don't think there is a working definition. I mean, I think that is part of the thing that's baked into the whole bad faith argument here, is that
Right.
like it's just a thing you can say whenever you want to say for some sense of grievance to the people who will be activated by that sense of grievance. And
Hmm.
it's there's always something in the works to activate that same thing, that I am the real victim here, not you. And people like me are victims, and that it's a way to plant your flag as the main victim. And to me, that from there it doesn't mean anything really.
That's right. That's absolutely true. And it gets, as you said, it just gets used in so many different ways in such a broad sort of way that it ends up being meaningless. I mean, it could be a thing if anyone agreed on a definition, but if you're just
Mhm.
talking about an amorphous blob that exists and somehow eventually swallows everyone, I don't know. Like, do fish notice water? I don't know. If we're all part of it, how can you even like point to it? It's such a weird thing.
Mhm.
I find it ridiculous, but I'm still a little more fascinated with it, I think, than you are, because I read the like Matt Taibbi thing. I don't even know if you saw that the other day. I had to read
Yeah.
it. I
And what
can't.
does he write for, Rolling Stone?
That is who I think he primarily. I don't know if this was a Rolling Stone
Okay.
piece or not. I forget, but I know he did write for
Mhm.
Rolling Stone. But it, I'm fascinated by the people who want to like say that yes, this is something. It's something, and it exists, and it's important, and everyone is paying attention to it.
Mhm.
All of that to me is like it's fast. It's just for me, it's fascinating. Like a terrible car wreck. It's just like, oh, I gotta look at that. Like,
We're
what
learning
happened there?
something
Everything's
about you,
just
Maura.
a little bit, yeah, yeah. It's a
Crash a
rubbernecking
car.
situation, you know. I just want to like, oh, did what happened over there? Could that happen to me? Should I be aware that I could go down a completely ridiculous route and dig my heels in on something that is completely nonsensical? Like, I should know. I should look.
Yeah,
I should
I
watch
get
that
it.
closely.
I get it. I mean, and I think, there's something. I don't know Taibbi very well. I know that he's got a weird track record. And I've
That
read.
seems correct.
What's that?
Yeah, no, that seems. I feel like that sums it up. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's a
mean,
weird track
some
record.
really heinous stuff when he was a journalist in Russia.
Hmm.
Just real sexist shit. And but then he was really on the money about the 2008 bailouts. On the money. I didn't mean that as a stupid ass
We've
pun.
got to put that back in the taxes week.
No. Um, but yeah, I don't really follow him, but I know it does seem like people are reacting to him like, what the fuck? He's smarter than this. Why is he swallowing the whole cancel culture thing? And I'm trying to look for like, I don't know how interested I am, but there's part of me that wants to know, what boiled down to it, what do you fear? What's the scenario
Right,
you fear?
right.
Is it people losing their livelihood? Is it people getting talked back to because tough shit? Like that's you're in the opinion business, you get opinions back. Like that's kind of the way it goes. But it's trickier when it comes to losing like your livelihood. But I'm sure there are examples out there of people, and I'm having deja vu. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago,
Hmm.
but as far as like the people that are cited, a lot of them, like, I hate to bring up her name because I feel like it's saying, Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times, but Barry Weiss, Barry Weiss, Barry Weiss,
Boom!
that little, yeah, exactly.
I wish I had a picture of her just to hold up. It would have been great. But all
Yeah,
I
it'd
could
be
do was
like that
me.
doll at the episode a couple of
Right,
episodes ago, just
right.
pure terror.
Happy lives.
But
Come
she does,
cancel with us, Bill, forever and ever.
don't join the boycott movement of Israel, Bill. But I do feel like somebody like her, she's canny enough to not use the phrase cancel culture, but that's all her thing is. That's like
Hmm.
the example of it. She quit. She quit. She wasn't even fired. She just felt like my colleagues are being mean to me. And
Hmm.
so part of me is just like, I don't, exactly what measurement are we using here? And like the fucking president took up. I mean, he's a bad faith. He is like bad faith in human form, but it just like everybody took up this really insular publishing shit from New York City that 99.5% of the country does not know or care about. Like,
Right.
I mean,
We're having to. I'm always the one with like weird stuff happening, but I'm pet sitting my
oh,
brother's dog,
is
and
there a dog you can show us?
I didn't know he was hiding under the
Oh
bed that
my
I was.
God.
Yeah, just right
What a
there.
beauty.
He's a sweetheart.
Who is that dog? What's his
His name
name?
is Thurman. He is a mutt.
I love him.
I love him too. He's my part-time dog because I don't have the ability to take care of a dog full time. But
Yeah.
he, I had no idea when I shut the door in here that he was
Aw,
hiding.
that was
So
so great.
he just started whimpering at me like, please
I
don't
don't
trap
want
me
to
in
be
here.
on a webcast. Come on.
Please don't cancel me. Please let me out. Let me run free. I'm just a dog.
It was a perfect little antidote to the bad faith bullshit we were talking about.
Yeah,
Is a
Barry White's
sweet
an
faced dog.
adorable little dog. He's a sweetheart. I love him. I bought him a doggy bed. That's how committed I am to like
You're a
owning a
doggy
dog
aunt.
part time. I am. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, back to canceling.
Well, I think one of the aspects of it that we are both interested in, though, is like, and this really brings it home in an almost unbelievable gymnastic feat of elegance on our part,
Mm,
that we're interested in insofar as like it gets to closer to home. Um, and as people who know riff tracks know, we have big opinions individually at riff tracks, between the principal people there. I'm not going to name names just because you know them if you know them. If you don't, you probably don't
sure.
care. But I don't want to take private business public. Um, Even though in social media is like people forget that distinction. Like sometimes you work out shit in private because you're friends or you're connected with them in some other way.
Hmm.
Um, but it does get to that question of like, what do you do to people who you're bonded with and connected with in other ways? I know there are people on social media who really do not like my loudmouth opinions. Part of me doesn't blame them. I know I can be obnoxious, but
I like your opinions, all of
thanks.
your
I
loud
think I'm
mouthery.
great. I think I'm correct. I think I'm just fun as hell.
I
But
think you're correct too until you disagree with me, and then I'll change my mind. But for right now, 100%.
this seems like a fair deal. Um, but I get it. Like if you're not on board with that and you're a Riff Tracks fan and you want to express it to me, and I either have you blocked or muted or ignore you or say, eat my shorts in so many ways. It's just like, what do you go? You go to Riff Tracks and you say, Bill's, I'm not going to buy anything from you guys anymore, because one of your guys is a dick, and I hate what he's saying about the country. And I have to say, part of me just is sympathetic to that. It's just like,
Sure.
I kind of get that. I don't think anybody is obligated to keep me in their life, even in entertainment form, if it invokes something that they don't like. Like that's a real individual choice that I respect. I mean, I don't respect always their reasons for doing it or the tattletale nature of it, but
Right.
I don't know. I kind of get it in a way. I
And
don't
I
know. Have
I
you ever
respect
been?
your view of that. Like, I think a lot of people on that side of feeling any sort of pushback or hearing people say, well, I don't like you, so I'm not gonna. It's personal because they put it in a really personal way and
Yeah,
they make a point to make it personal. And a lot of people respond in a sort of very defensive human way that they get upset or they want to argue or fight or attack or
I've
do
done
things
all
like
of that, and this,
that.
I mean,
Fair. But I think that broadly, you have generally put out that you respect people's choices and do what you have to do what you feel
yeah.
is right to you. And I think that's a very mature route to take, and all of us can learn from that example. Really, I it was helpful to me to read it, and to see that from you in general. Uh,
Well,
I
like I kind
respect
of know how I feel about people like in that zone, and I think especially for people who are real big Riff Tracks fans that have been with us through Mystery Science Theater and all that stuff. It's really personal. Like, and I'm grateful on some level that the fandom is personal and they like
it.
us
Yeah,
personally. And then when I say something that is not palatable to them and just feels like you just are, pissing on my values,
right,
it feels very personal. And they often put it in those terms. I love you, but I fucking hate you now.
right,
Like essentially.
right. No, yeah, you're a bad person now because of this. It's very like, yeah,
Oh, it goes everywhere from nuanced to absolutely,
sure.
berserker. So it's like there's no one way of canceling me.
That's
But
nice
that
to know. That's good. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket. There's lots of options.
you
I never
do.
want to feel
You
constrained.
got a lot of things, a lot of ways to make this.
Good, good. Yeah, I haven't had that. I mean, I don't have the same sort of public persona that you do, so I don't have that in exactly the same way. But I've certainly had people on Twitter feel the need to like very personally tell me that they no they're unfollowing me or they're not that sort of thing because of X, Y, and Z that they disagreed with, um, which is because it's just me, always kind of entertaining because it's like I haven't changed much. What did you expect?
Right.
What did you think was going to happen here? But
Do they
okay.
ever like contact the tax march and tell them that you've been bad?
People have definitely threatened to do that, but most of the ways that you contact tax march don't get checked often enough. So
Right.
they haven't gotten through to anyone. I have contributor to the Onion in my bio, so they like
Oh,
to
okay.
tag the Onion a lot.
Right.
Like that's a big one, which is really funny because have you read the Onion
Yeah.
lately? Like if you're angry at my progressive stances on things, I don't
Yeah. I
think
mean, and
you're
when you contact Riff Tracks, I am one of the owners of Riff Tracks, so like there's not a bunch of. But we do have to like talk amongst ourselves and
sure.
like who wants to be um, notified about their colleagues' bad behavior like a lot, and
Right.
therein for me is where the rubber hits the road. I mean, that's there's stuff to be talked about there, and I really do feel like I don't know. I think over the years I have really gotten surprisingly I don't know, agnostic isn't quite the word, but less inclined to try to correct anybody in my
Mm-hmm.
personal life
Mm-hmm.
unless, and I know there's a line, I know there is a line,
Oh
I
yeah.
just don't know where it is exactly. I mean, certainly if one of my colleagues started posting like anti-Semitic rants, that would be it, you know, that would be, or I would have to like really have a big confrontation with them, and I
Yeah.
would hope they would do the same for me. um,
Yeah.
but there's all sorts of degrees beyond that that I just feel like, whew.
There are. And
And it even, I have to say, a lot of the stuff where it has gotten uncomfortable for me in recent years hasn't been with family or friends or partners who are more conservative. It's ones who are, you know, ostensibly liberal Democrats, because theoretically we're all on the same page, but in actuality, when you are a lefty like me, it
hmm
gets very, very tricky, and they get very, very angry if,
they do.
and I probably get angry at them. I probably definitely get angry at them at, you know, certain things. And it's, I feel like there's been more tension about that stuff with people I genuinely love and hang out with and, you know,
Yeah.
admire.
Yeah. I mean, there for me with that people online that I was friends with only from a virtual space, most of us kind of split ways
Mm,
basically following 2016. I mean, to the point where certainly some people that I used to consider like an actual friend, uh, we've mutually blocked each other because it's just it hit that point of
yeah.
like just can't see any sort of eye to eye here, and it's just too upsetting and frustrating.
Mhm.
um, and I think that that was the case partially as well because there was more of an assumption of like same teamery. So
Yes.
to not be able like really you don't you really can't see any of the reasons why neoliberal policies are not like just that sort of thing.
Oh,
I
just the
think
word
maybe like
neoliberal will
I know.
send it.
I I feel
Just
like maybe like defenses are down a little more, so it is a little it cuts a little
yeah.
more personal. Like you're not on guard waiting for like, all right, I have to talk you through why it's Mitt Romney is not good. Like it's not that. It's something else where you kind of thought you were a little bit safer, and so you were a little
Right.
bit more vulnerable, and so it felt more of a betrayal or it hurt more.
Mhm.
So I saw
Yeah,
that.
I do think that yeah, like somebody like I haven't talked to my brother about either of my brothers about politics for years. I think one of my brothers has always been just absolutely uninterested in any kind of politics ever. And part of me is like, you are a Zen master because it sucks. And the other one runs pretty conservative. And
Mhm.
like I would be less like I know that if we get together, we will emphasize the things that we love and have in common, and politely sidestep the rest because we have an interest in you know, maintaining a relationship, which is awesome. That's like that is a gift. um, it would be different if one of us started like if he started using the N word or something like that. I
Yeah.
would be like, all right, we can't go any further until we get through this part.
Mm-hmm.
But that nothing like that has ever been true. And I think he's like a compassionate, good guy at heart, like a really good guy.
Yeah.
But it gets trickier when it's like, oh, this online acquaintance who I spent, maybe earlier Twitter with, just complaining about about Republican senators. Suddenly they're going this way and I'm going that way, and we
Mm-hmm.
never really worked that out. And we had no reason to because we didn't have a relationship. But I'm
Right.
suddenly blocked by these 5 or 6 celebrities who I used to josh with all the time. It's like, that's a shame, but I don't know.
As the person who does the sudden blocking more often than not, yeah, I also understand, because I mean, a lot of the times when I'm blocking, it's almost an act of compassion, because
Yeah.
I know if I see your stuff, I'm gonna lose it at you. Like, I'm going to come at you, and that's not gonna help either of us. So let's
Yeah.
just like, you need to go over there in a different room where I don't see you, and then we can both have more peace in our lives.
Hmm.
Like, that's because otherwise I know that generally I have some self-control, but like, there's going to be a night where I, had a drink or two and then decided to
You're
go on
gonna
Twitter.
Susan Orleans it,
I'm
right?
going to see, but she was adorable and I will be terrible.
I know Susan Orleans a little bit. I did like a conference with her once. She is the most canny person in the world. I really,
Really?
and I'm using that word a lot right now, but I guess what I mean
I
is
like
like,
it.
she is, I'll just put it this way. I didn't believe she was drunk. And I know there was a lot of people who didn't either. She insists the next day that she absolutely was.
Right.
And I take her at her word, but it was like, God, was that a skillful drunken rant? And the
Right.
fact that you didn't apologize for it in the least, it was just like, oopsie, anybody got a Tylenol, or whatever, like that kind of brash anti-mame attitude. It's just like,
Right.
good for you.
But it was also like, there wasn't anything to apologize for.
No,
She
there really
didn't, like,
wasn't. She
it
didn't,
was
yeah.
cute.
Just like stream of consciousness, vague bitching about her family not doing what she wanted.
Right. It was very like, it was friendly. You felt like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friend who is a bit drunk, and that's funny,
But
and
a
I have to make
pleasant
sure she gets
person.
home safe,
Yeah.
but like, otherwise fine. Yeah, you weren't like
Yeah.
hanging out with your friend who's like a rageaholic, and had like a shot of whiskey and started punching holes through your walls. This is fine. This is the cute kind.
Toast of the town. She came through it all like she walked through,
Oh,
no man's
absolutely.
land with a cocktail and just came out the other side. Just like, what did I do last night, darling?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That is not the sort of me drunkenly taking to Twitter
Yeah. There's a
that it would.
reason I am 10 years sober, and it's not
Yeah.
because I'm not always very charming.
Yeah,
Um,
I've had to close the laptop after having a glass or two of something, where I'm like, oh, this is not gonna end well. You
did
gotta
I
like
just
put temptation away.
did I just threaten to kill somebody? I probably shouldn't do that, should I?
Yeah, that's probably, how many threats did I send to the president? I'm not sure. I'm sure
Oh man.
Secret Service will come let me know. It's yeah. But so I was saying, so online, those friendships, that was like done. The people that I knew in person, 2016, like, there were a couple of people that it was just like gone. Basically, I mean, if you supported Trump, fine, I just unfriended you. I don't need to know you
Hmm.
anymore. But there were even some that were like in this sort of middle ground, who, there was one person in particular that made an Islamophobic comment on Facebook that I responded to, and had a back and forth with, and then just cut him out completely. So like, that sort of cut and dry. But there is a world of people that I know where it's like, it in real life, but exists in this sort of nether space. And one friend in particular, and I had mentioned this to you in our
Hmm.
one text that we send to prepare.
One text.
One text. We should
It's
call
our
this.
guarantee. It's a one text preparation show.
That's right. No more, no less. That's what you're getting. Uh,
Sometimes less.
okay, fine. Sometimes less. God, make a liar out of me immediately.
No, I don't. I think we've
Oh,
always had at least one. Like, we're talking about tax today. Sure, at least that.
yeah, it's that much commitment in it too. Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
um, Yeah,
Just
cool.
turn the
Fine. I
camera
don't
off
know.
a little bit. Let
If
me
you figured
go.
out how to Zoom yet, if you send me a Zoom link that we can both get into, then we'll do this. But we'll see how long that takes.
Yeah, but
Sure.
just I started a Zoom call before this and immediately just like ejected us out of us by mistake. So there is
See, I
a
felt
false
attacked,
start
so
to the show.
I had to drag you for calling me a liar. For
That's for the archives. That's for our Patreon level. You get to see the 30 seconds of show that started
Mhm.
before this.
Mhm. Oh, it was good stuff. So yeah, so I had this friend, and she's not an American. She's on a visa, so she can't vote. Um, so I don't know who she voted for. Although she does. I know she doesn't support Trump. I know that much. But we've been friends for well over a decade, and there was a period of time where she was my best friend in the world of like,
Hmm.
that's who I would be like, hey, you want to go out? You want to go do something? Hey,
Hmm.
that's the person I would turn to. So we were really close. And then she moved. She went to go get her master's at Harvard, and I
That's a
was
problem right there.
I was in Los Angeles, so there was some space. And then I moved to the East Coast, and then she was in New York, and we would see each other, but more and more space. And she went to work for the NYPD, um, which was like something she really wanted to do. Uh, and I became, over the course of several years, far more vocal about not liking the police in general
Hmm.
and not trusting the police. And we had one final sort of conversation 2 years ago. I saw her in New York around my birthday.
Hmm.
And I was telling her, it was like I had gone on a date with a guy who hit on me in a coffee shop. So I knew nothing about him whatsoever. It wasn't even like social media app where I can read something. So I went on one date with him. Seemed like a nice enough guy. And turned out he was formerly a police officer. And one of the things that he was telling me was like, well, most women lie about rape. So that was the last date I went on with that dude. It was like first and last. That was
Damn.
easy. So I brought that up to her, like joke, as sort of a comedic conversation. And she was like, well, no, but that's true. Uh, and then she was just so in the like NYPD mindset, which is very anti-humans, basically, just very
Yeah.
like they're and we argued, and that was the last I had spoken to her. And I know that she had always been more conservatively minded than me,
Hmm.
and more like, I guess, authoritarian minded. Like she
Yeah.
tends more towards authoritarianism in her general perceptions of the world than I ever have. But she's definitely gone further to that point.
Hmm.
Again, not a Trump supporter still, but like just
Really?
the mentality. Yeah.
I mean, how do you know? Just from like Facebook updates and stuff?
Yeah, I think she's probably like, well, one, like I said, she can't vote regardless, so she
Oh,
has no
okay.
reason to be like a zealot in that way. But yeah, no, we were friends for a reason. Like she's not an idiot, and
Hmm.
she can see that Trump is a fucking piece of shit. Like she gets that he's an asshole, and but
It's what some
that
people
doesn't.
like about him.
Well, true, but I don't know that that means that she hates
Yeah.
everything he's done. Like, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. I truly don't know. Um, so anyway, yeah, the point being, so we split ways, and that seemed right, and I felt comfortable with that. And she has recently reached out again and like been like, I miss you, and and how are you, and how are your kids, and very like making these gestures towards friendship. And
Hmm.
this is where I get like kind of, I don't know. I don't know what to do or how to navigate that. And that's when I think like cancel culture, I think it's all bullshit and who knows and stuff. But when I look at like how we are responding to people we know in our real life, and how that is playing out, and like who do you keep in your life and who do you not, I find that to be like a very confusing gray place to live. And I don't know what to do right now with her reaching out. I mean, do I like give her a test? Like, all right, here are 10 things, and answer yes or no. Do you believe that there should be a wall? Do you believe that immigrant? Like,
Yeah.
she's an immigrant, but like, uh, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure what to do.
Well, how
What
would
should I
it?
do, Bill? Tell me what to do.
Well, this is the advice portion of our show.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, all I can say is I get the zone that you're dealing with here. I don't really know that there's an answer except like what would be a deal breaker for you? And I'm just asking that hypothetically, not
Yeah.
asking you to make a list. Um, could you have her believing in your perception some stuff that she doesn't express or make the central part of your relationship? Because it sounds like she is not, trying to make that the central part of your relationship. If she says, I miss you, it
Hmm.
does feel like there's tenderness there.
Hmm.
And that's the weird area that I think so much of the country, probably the world, is dealing with right now. It's like, what,
Right.
how do you relate to your fellow humans and uh, not make everything about politics, because politics is a stupid, blunt instrument in its own way. I mean, it's a necessary thing on the distribution of resources and the making of laws and all that. I don't mean to like poo poo that. It's like
Sure.
all politicians are crooked. Like, it's not that facile, of course, but it's also easy to get so tribal that I don't know, everything else falls by the wayside. And then you just become a maniac online posting shit 24/7. And I've been there, like here and
Yeah.
there, like, and I just feel like, all right, well, I don't want to be that. I don't respect that when people do that. Um, but like we said before, like you do have to kind of know yourself and know where your limits are. And
Hmm.
can you maintain a relationship with somebody who is regularly saying shit that you in your heart of hearts don't believe? I think, to me, the answer is yes, if it's about tax policy. Yes, if they don't keep trying to make me believe it, if we can just go, all right, we're not on the same page, that's fine. No, if it is about like hardcore racism,
Right.
you only have to say it once to get me out of there, like, or something like that.
Right.
And there's all sorts of stuff to calibrate about that. I'm not saying you even have to like make it that methodical, but I do feel like cutting somebody out of your life because first of all, if that person was valuable, that's a whole other thing. If you're cutting
That is a
someone
whole
out of
other
your
thing.
life who
Yeah.
is like an unpleasant fuck anyway, it's like, good, take the excuse, get them out.
Well, we never fucked, so I'm not sure. But
No, I didn't say
I
an
know you didn't.
unpleasant.
I know you didn't. I purposefully did that just to be a jerk, just to
Well,
make you
that too,
uncomfortable,
though.
Bill.
Like,
Yeah.
if they're a bad lay, then
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
yet
No
another
reason.
reason.
Get the hell
But
out.
if
Yeah.
that is not an issue, and if they're just like a grouch and a unpleasant to be around,
Hmm.
even all politics off the table, then take the opportunity and get them the hell
Sure.
away.
Right. Right.
Then tax policy becomes very important to me suddenly.
Top priority in a friendship.
I will not
Absolutely.
accept a VAT tax in America. Goodbye
Marginal tax
forever.
rate under 70%,
Right.
then go fuck yourself. That's it. I don't want to know you.
Yeah.
That's completely nonsense. Yeah, no, you're right. It's important to figure out sort of, not necessarily in a didactic way, but generally what some lines are for you, and whether or not they're crossed, and that's hard. And then additionally weighing in the value of that person. These are like two complicated algorithms
Yeah.
that then need to be added
Moving
together.
parts in relation to each other. And
I hate math. God, I
yeah.
don't hate. That was such a bullshit thing. I don't hate math. I love math, actually. I don't know why
Were
I
you,
just
were
said
you
that.
like a math nerd?
I like math a lot. Yeah,
Were
I
you
really
were you
do.
very good at it?
I was good at it. I mean,
Yeah.
MIT didn't knock on my door when I was 14 or anything, but like I was reasonably good at math. I was in all the advanced math classes, and
You did calculus?
yeah, I did
That was
calculus.
my
I loved
undoing.
it. I loved theoretical math. Like anytime you would go into the world of theoretical math was
That's
fantastic for me.
awesome.
I hate applied math. So like physics, ugh, I don't waste my fucking mechanical engineering, things like that. Things where it's useful to other people, bullshit. But like just play in the sort of fantasy world of numbers, that's super fun. I
You're a
love that.
dreamer.
I am a
It is
mathematical dreamer.
absolutely my arc with math went pretty competent, Really pretty good. I was on the math team in like 8th grade
Wow,
briefly.
we didn't have a math team,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
no one
you
told me
know,
about it. Maybe we had a
ridiculous.
math team and no one invited me. Maybe I'm like just finding out that I was like the least cool math person. They're like, shh, don't tell
Not
Maura.
possible to be the least cool. But
Somebody is. Somebody
I
has to
got
be.
recruited by like a one of my nun teachers who in Catholic school was like, "You're good at math. Come on the team." So I did like a
Whack. Get
five
in
or
there.
six weeks. But
I
then
just
like
assumed.
immediately when I got to high school, it was just like going downhill, and all the smart kids were surpassing me. By the time I got to calculus, I was like just dead and buried. I was not good at it.
What happened in high school? I feel like something happened to turn you off of your math path.
I don't know. No, well, I mean, really, it got harder and I wasn't up to it. That's really what it comes down to. And there
So
were
there's
like,
not a math-based trauma that we can point to.
no, I don't think so. Nobody hit me over the head with a slide rule or
Yeah,
anything.
made fun of you because it took too long to figure out what the tip was on your milkshake or something, or
I
yeah.
also went to a pretty rigorous academic high school, and like the per capita smartness of the whole thing went up, and I couldn't keep pace.
Per capita smartness. Got it. I hope they have that in the brochures for the school. Our per capita smartness is among the top in the
Off
country.
the charts, except for the Corbett curve, which throws.
We were going to have a stat in here about it, but he couldn't figure out what that was. So it's excluded.
He did draw a picture of a cat, though, pretty badly.
It
Um,
rhymes. Stat and cat. Close enough. Think creatively. Um, yeah. Anyway, I don't know how we got over
anyway, I'm canceled somehow.
there. I
We
don't know
should
where
wrap
we
up
went.
soon. I think, I feel like there's a million more things to say about this. And I actually like the direction this subject took, because I do feel like there's not a lot of good faith exploration of canceling or whatever that means, or censorship
Right.
in the media and the culture at large at this point. It's just like hitting
Yeah.
each other over the head with, blunt instruments. And I kind of feel like, until you can figure out the terms of what canceling means, I'm not interested in talking about it anymore.
See,
But
you're
this,
so not a math person. You're right in the English. Define your terms, or absolutely, we're not going there.
there we
Although maybe
go.
that's math too. Oh boy. Ooh, never
Let's
mind.
just say it is. Let's just say I'm a good math person.
You're a good math person.
Thank you. And but I do think the other aspect of it is very interesting. It's like where the personal meets the political in your life. What do you do
Yeah.
about it? I am more likely, or I'm feeling more like we really do have to engage each other as human beings more and more. But we also have to have like our boundaries set and our values set, and the boundaries and values will evolve over time, and you will have the right to change your mind. But
Yeah.
it doesn't, I don't think having a real tight policy about like I will not spend time with a person who believes different than me is a good general policy. I'm sure there are limits. I don't want to spend time with,
No, there are
Klansmen.
definitely right. There are definitely limits. What that means to not agree with you has to be sort of, there has to be a place for it. If you like chocolate ice cream, we can still hang out, even though chocolate ice cream is not good, and I refuse to accept those who say otherwise. But if
It
you,
does feel like the fan cultures that you can see online fighting with each other about stuff is a good way of looking at it in a sort of objective way, because I don't really feel any devotions as a fan of any
hmm,
um, cultural thing,
mm-hmm.
like, and it might just be because of my age and that just wasn't as big a thing when I was a kid. Like, I'm not going to fight about Star Wars,
I
like,
think fandom was still a big thing when you were a kid. I
no,
mean,
it
I wasn't
was,
there, but I'm
but I
pretty
do,
sure.
I do feel like it is like the internet, obviously, but also like the ubiquity of pop culture. It's it's intense. It's intense. Like
Mhm.
K-pop fans or formerly Justin Bieber fans. Like if you get on their bad side, you're fucked.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I've been mobbed by more than one fandom before.
Yeah.
Uh,
And, and
but
so
it's
to
kind of
me,
adorable.
that
Like, eh,
that presents like a little. Well, apply that here to politics, and maybe the more that your political beliefs and your political values resemble a fandom,
yeah,
the less the more you should question what's going on with yourself, because
No, I think that's
team
very fair.
Republican or team Democrat or team this individual politician is a poison at this point.
No, I think that's very fair. Politicians should never be put on pedestals, ever, ever, ever. No one should ever be a fan of a politician. You can advocate for a policy and you can have reasons for it. And certainly there are individuals who embody more of those policies or are pushing for more of them. And so you can feel like, oh, that's someone I'm more aligned with, but that's kind of the extent of it. Yeah. You should
Mhm.
never have like a poster of a politician on your wall.
That said, you will be tuning in when the adaptation of the book about Hillary Clinton in the alternate timeline universe called Rodham. This was just announced today. Have you heard about this?
You know what? I like breezed past something, but I
Okay.
didn't stop to look.
There's a book out. It's an alternate history about Hillary Clinton winning and being president. It's called Rodham. It's like a alternate history fiction. They're
Oh my
making a
gosh.
movie of it.
Oh, good. Thank goodness. Please riff tracks this. Please. We need
Oh
it.
my
We, the
God.
people, need this.
Dear God in heaven. That to me is like cult shit, you know?
That is. No, that really is. Please, I'm not kidding. We demand a riff tracks from this movie. Whatever.
I don't know if I could
I
take
don't
the
know
incoming from that. Like,
No, that's fair. Protect yourself and at the same time sacrifice yourself for the fans.
thank you. Okay. Well, yeah. What? No. No, but I do
Oh,
feel
that's
like that
terrible.
is, you know,
That's so scary.
the remaining celebrities who have not blocked me or unfollowed me would then
That would be it.
do it. That would like, yeah.
That is a really frightening prospect, and I can't imagine if I could find enough people who would find it fun. I would want to watch it like jointly, though, as a
Yeah.
group, in a personal riff
Just get
tracksy kind
drunk
of
as
way.
hell, get some chicken wings. It's like, I don't
Not
know.
my preferred drunk food,
Like,
but fair.
if they could hire like Harvey Fierstein to be, you know, to play Hillary, that would, like, if they really did it like a big drag show or a
Over the top.
satire or something like that, that would be
Wow.
fucking great.
If it were a satire, it would be fantastic. I
But it
can't even
won't be. It's
imagine.
going to be reverent
No.
as hell.
Oh gosh. So reverent. Oh, the music. Can you hear the music cues already? Like
It'll just
the
be
moment
West
she
Wing
walks
with
down the
whatever
hall.
the latest needle drop is.
Oh, the closing credits are going to be fight song. I'll
Oh
bet money
God,
on it.
fight song's going to be in there. God.
I'll bet money on it. I'm going closing credits. There's got to be a.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's going to play like the Secretary of State or something. I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
It's gonna hurt, man. I'm not
Look,
gonna
if
lie to
you
you.
and I tried to be reverent and wrote it right now, I feel like we would come up with 80% there, but like
Yeah.
better. I think we could do it.
Let's make it happen, man. Let's get it out before they do it.
Deborah Messing could be
Unauthorized.
Secretary of the Interior.
Who?
Deborah Messing,
Oh
I think.
God.
You know?
She's gonna play Hillary, I'll bet. I don't think they have it cast yet. I could be wrong, but
Oh, she would love to. She's
oh my
doing
God.
something right now to try to, I'm sure. Like there's some conversations being had behind
Here's
closed Zooms.
what would be an epic troll. They do the entire thing with only avowedly like right-wing actors, like the ones who have really gone out there and like made it a point. Like who
James
is
Woods
yeah,
can play. Yeah.
play Bill.
Sure.
Who is that? Who's the one who is in Everybody Loves Raymond? The woman who's always, I don't know. She's not,
Oh,
doesn't seem
right.
as
I forgot that.
monstrous as some of
Patricia
them.
something, right?
Yeah. Her as Hillary.
Uh-huh. That
Just
works.
keep populating it with right-wing like Hollywood stars.
I
Kevin
love it.
Sorbo can play
Something.
I don't know who. Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin
No.
Sorbo as himself. Yes.
Just give them all the work that they complain about not getting in Hollywood, but make them
The
do it
Dilbert
in
guy can
Sorbo.
do the like credits and things, you know.
Yeah.
Put him on the.
Dilbert guy can play Tom Perez, the head of the DNC.
Oh, that's nice.
Just
That's a
put a
good role
little-
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fits really well there.
Just put a little boot black around, like it's still kind of balding, and
Oh gosh, this would be fantastic.
and
This
then
would be
maybe just a
car wreck.
smattering of extreme left wing, like, you know, like have Noam Chomsky as the, I don't know, the president.
You're making
of-
like the Vanity Fair letter of a movie, basically. Just put them all together and watch it just be terrible.
all right wingers except for Susan Sarandon as Chelsea.
As
As
Chelsea.
Chelsea, just to fuck with
Oh,
that.
boy, that's a lot. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm having an episode.
I
A
like the
few,
idea of Chelsea being older than Hillary. Like
right.
that's an interesting. We're doing something there conceptual. I'm not sure what it is or what we're saying, but we're saying
I gotta
something.
say, Susan Sarandon is over 70. She looks
Oh,
amazing.
God, she
So
looks amazing.
anybody should be honored to be portrayed by
Oh,
her, not
absolutely.
politically represented by her necessarily, but
She should. I couldn't imagine anyone in the entire world. Yes, should be incredibly, incredibly honored.
so
She's
anyway, we have a
gorgeous.
plan. Let's get out there to Hollywood and pitch it.
Yeah, that sounds
Right
good.
now,
If anybody's watching here, just hit
pony
this up.
up. This offer goes off the table as soon as
It's
I
cheap
pressed
too.
end.
It's cheap. We're selling it cheap.
$20 each.
There you go.
Maura gets
Boom.
20, I get 20.
Very fair.
Anyway, we should probably say goodbye. Maybe next week we will see if there are any developments in the what is becoming the Geraldo Rivera case to me. The guy who keeps getting on Twitter and defending Ghislaine Maxwell and
Ghislaine.
Trump, who said that he wishes Ghislaine the
Well,
best yesterday.
oh yes, yes. Good. That's a lovely.
So we even talked about that issue. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
there's
see
a
what
whole
the
world of
week brings
Q to
us.
get
But
into. I
damn,
know.
there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. It is not an empty vault at all.
Nope.
It's full.
But until then, keep your family safe. And I will try to do likewise. I will try to keep your family safe too.
Wait, we were talking riff tracks.
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, if you're watching this today, the date being what? July 22nd, Wednesday. This evening at check your local listings. I think I don't know when it is, but it's like 7:30 in one part of the country. I should have really checked that. We are
Someone's
doing a
7:30.
live riff tracks online. I'll change my shirt, I promise. Through an app called Scener, which is some new thing, but we have access to the Netflix category through it. And so we're going to be doing the first episode of Stranger Things online.
Oh, fun.
You'll see our heads in the standard box at this point. Yeah, it's an experiment, but come by. It's free and check it out.
Very cool. I'm excited for it.
Well, thank you. Do you have anything to plug?
Nothing. My computer plugs in. That's about it. I got nothing. Nothing.
All right.
I have a dog.
You have an adorable dog.
Part-time dog. That's what I got to plug.
That is a quality dog.
I agree.
I just wanted to stop the conversation and play with him.
Sometime we will make that happen eventually.
All right. We'll go do that now. And we'll talk next week.
All right.
Bye, Maura.
Bye.